Welcome back to today's video. In this episode, we'll follow the journey of a man as he builds a shelter deep in the forest and learns to live in harmony with nature. Watch closely to see how he creates his refuge, step by step. And don't miss the final reveal of the finished shelter at the end. He begins by digging a hole in the low ground. Then, he places curved branches along the higher edges on both sides, creating the framework for the shelter's roof. After preparing the foundation of the shelter, he heads into the forest with his saw. Carefully selecting sturdy trees, he cuts them down and shapes them into wooden beams. One by one, he carries the beams back to the construction site, ready to use them as the main support for his shelter. After bringing back the wooden beams, he begins the next crucial step of construction. He drives sturdy support posts deep into the ground, surrounding the roof's outline to ensure the frame has a firm foundation. With each post hammered in place, the structure grows stronger and more stable. Then, he carefully lifts the wooden beams and lays them across the roof frame, arranging them side by side. Slowly, the open skeleton of the roof begins to disappear as the beams cover and seal the frame, creating a solid and protective layer above the shelter. This stage marks a major transformation. The shelter is no longer just an outline, but a space that starts to feel enclosed, safe, and ready to shield him from the elements. For the back wall of the shelter, he arranges sturdy wooden beams vertically, placing them side by side. Each beam fits tightly against the next, slowly closing off the gaps until the entire rear side of the house is sealed. On the side of the front wall, he carefully digs out a small square pit in the ground, shaping it with steady hands to create a fire hole. Though simple, this detail plays a vital role in his survival. Within this pit, he can safely build and contain a fire without the flames spreading. As the sun begins to set and the forest grows darker, this fire will provide him with much needed warmth to fight off the cold night air. It will also become his cooking spot, where he can prepare meals after a long day of work, and its flickering light will bring comfort and security in the quiet, lonely wilderness. The next morning, as the sunlight filters through the trees, he continues with the construction of his shelter. Picking up his saw, he cuts sturdy wooden beams, carefully measuring each piece to fit his plan. With steady effort, he begins to assemble the framework for the entrance at the front wall of the house. One beam after another is lifted into place, forming a solid outline that will become the doorway. This entrance is not just an entrance, but also gives the shelter a sense of completion, transforming it from a simple hideaway into a true dwelling. He then prepares a mixture of mud, working it with his hands until it becomes thick and heavy enough to use as a natural binder. Alongside this, he saws wooden beams in the shorter sections, carefully arranging them one by one to form the lower part of the front wall. Each piece is set firmly into place, with mud pressed in between to seal the gaps and strengthen the wall. Interestingly, he doesn't cover the entire section. He deliberately leaves the upper part open. This gap will serve as a window for the shelter. Beside the cooking area, he decides to add a small yet practical feature, a sheltered space to store firewood. First, he drives sturdy wooden posts into the ground, creating strong support legs that will hold the structure in place. Once the posts are secure, he carefully fixes a roof frame on top, using beams to make it steady. Finally, he installs a simple roof covering, completing a neat little shed right next to the kitchen. This addition ensures that his firewood will remain dry and protected from the rain, always ready to keep the fire burning for warmth and cooking. Though modest in size, this small roof transforms the kitchen corner into a more organized and functional space, bringing even more comfort to his forest home. To make the small firewood shelter more durable, he gathers fresh mud and begins coating the roof with a thick, even layer. Carefully, he spreads the mud across the surface, pressing it firmly into place so it clings tightly to the wooden frame. With the shelter complete, he begins stacking the firewood neatly under the small roof, knowing it will stay dry and ready for future use. As evening approaches, he prepares a simple meal to reward himself after a long day of work. Gathering fresh cuts of meat, he places them on wooden skewers and sets them carefully over the fire. The flames crackle, and the aroma of roasting meat drifts through the forest, filling the air with warmth and comfort. In this quiet wilderness, surrounded by nothing but nature, he enjoys his grilled skewers as a well-earned dinner, a moment of peace and satisfaction in the heart of the forest. After a peaceful night inside his handmade shelter, he awakens refreshed and ready for a new day in the forest. The cool morning air drifts through the trees as he stirs the fire back to life, its gentle smoke curling upward into the sky. He places a pot over the flames, letting the water slowly come to a boil. This simple act of preparing hot water for his breakfast not only warms his body but also marks the beginning of another day of living in harmony with nature. To make his kitchen more secure and practical, he decides to reinforce the old fire pit. First, he gathers large, sturdy stones from around the forest and carries them back to his shelter. With patience, he mixes mud into a thick paste that will act as natural mortar. At the site of his original cooking spot, he begins to stack the stones carefully, one on top of another, pressing mud between each gap so the structure holds firm. Slowly, the pit transforms into a strong and stable stone stove, its base rising higher with each layer he adds. The walls of the stove are built with great care, thick and solid, able to withstand not only heat, but also the passage of time. As he continues, he shapes the stove upward, creating a proper hearth where flames can burn brighter and hotter. At the back, he carefully constructs a chimney, lifting it stone by stone, ensuring each piece fits snugly into place. With every addition, the chimney stretches higher, guiding smoke safely out of the shelter and keeping the interior clean and breathable. This transformation marks a turning point. The kitchen is no longer just a simple campfire on the ground. It becomes a permanent, reliable hearth that brings both safety and efficiency to his forest home. In front of the main entrance, he begins to shape the ground to create a proper pathway. With careful strokes of his tool, he clears away uneven soil and levels the earth, forming a neat strip that leads directly to the doorway. This small detail adds both convenience and beauty, making it easier to step in and out of the shelter without stumbling on rough ground. After shaping the pathway in front of the entrance, he heads back into the forest to cut down more wood. Carefully, he saws the logs into even sections, choosing pieces sturdy enough to withstand frequent use. Returning to the shelter, he begins arranging the wooden pieces across the surface of the pathway, laying them side by side to create a flat and solid walkway. Each step of placement is done with care, ensuring the path is both strong and level. With the wood in place, the simple dirt track transforms into a welcoming entrance floor, neater, cleaner, and more practical. At the side window of the shelter, he decides to strengthen the opening with a simple but practical design. He takes several sturdy wooden beams and fits them into the frame, arranging them in the shape of a cross. Inside the shelter, he began to shape the living space more meticulously. In the side wall, he dug the ground, carved a neat hollow where a new structure would take shape, a small indoor fireplace. Once the location was found, he installed a stove for the house. On the roof of the shelter, he lays down a protective waterproof sheet, stretching it carefully across the entire surface. This layer acts as a shield, ensuring no rainwater can seep through. To secure it firmly in place, he gathers soil and spreads it evenly over the top, pressing it down until the sheet is completely hidden beneath the earth. The roof, once just a framework of wooden beams, is now solid and well insulated, blending seamlessly with the forest around it. Wanting to add more details to his shelter, he heads back into the forest once again with his saw. This time, instead of large beams, he selects smaller trees and cuts them into short, sturdy logs. One by one, the freshly cut pieces are carried back to his home, stacked neatly at the construction site. Each trip back with wood in hand shows his determination and resourcefulness as he continues shaping the wilderness into a place he can truly call home. Inside the shelter, he begins working on a practical addition to make the space more organized. Using short wooden logs, he carefully stacks them together, applying mud between each layer to bind them firmly in place. Slowly, the structure rises, forming a raised platform along the wall. This sturdy surface will serve as storage, keeping his tools, food, and other essentials off the ground, safe from dampness and insects. The simple combination of wood and earth turns into a functional shelf-like platform, giving the interior a sense of order. Wanting to make the interior sturdier and more comfortable, he heads out once again, this time searching for thin, flat stones scattered across the forest floor. Patiently, he collects them, carrying the heavy pieces back to his shelter one load at a time. Inside, he returns to the newly built platform and begins working on the wall behind it. With care, he presses mud onto the surface, then lays the thin stones in place, stacking them tightly together. Layer by layer, the wall began to transform, becoming both strong and thick. The mud tightly bound the stones together, while the stone surface itself acted as natural insulation. With the indoor heating stove complete, he finally has the ability to cook safely inside his shelter. The fire crackles warmly within the stone hearth, its light flickering across the wooden walls as smoke drifts upward through the chimney. He places a pot over the flames and begins preparing a simple yet hearty meal, using the ingredients he has on hand. Soon, the comforting aroma of food fills the small room, blending with the earthy scent of wood and mud. Sitting beside the stove, he enjoys the warmth while tending to his cooking, no longer exposed to the cold night air outside. For the first time, his shelter feels not just like a refuge, but like a true home where he can rest, stay warm, and enjoy a satisfying meal in the heart of the wilderness. The next morning, he continues adding small but meaningful touches to his shelter. Near the window, he begins stacking short wooden beams, arranging them carefully with layers of mud to bind them together. Slowly, the structure takes the shape of a raised wooden platform, positioned perfectly beneath the window. This clever addition will allow him to place his belongings, prepare food, or even sit by the window while enjoying the soft light streaming in from outside. At last, he turns his attention to the floor inside the shelter. To make it more comfortable and practical, he brings in thin wooden planks and begins laying them carefully across the ground. One by one, the planks are fitted together, creating a smooth and even surface that covers the bare earth below. With this final touch, the transformation is complete. The shelter, once just a simple frame of wood and mud, now stands as a true home, sturdy and welcoming, ready to protect and sustain him in the heart of the forest. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this journey. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next adventure. Goodbye for now, and see you in the next video.